Okay, so my game with Shabalov, it was a King's Indian, and I got confused pretty early. I played my usual exchange variation. And this is where I'll tell you how confused I was. He played Rook F8, and okay, now my confusion is very complicated. So like it's a focus to what I was confused about. If you guys are like doing weed or something, you're not gonna so like stop for a minute. Okay. Now, in this position, when my opponent plays Rook E8 or Rook F8, I castle queenside because that's what I do. However, most people don't do that. They play Knight D5. But somehow I was so confused by Rook F8 that I thought I don't castle queenside here, and I don't play Knight takes E5, and that Knight D5, which is the main move, was like something I just thought of. Even though with the Rook on E8, it's the main move. With the Rook on F8, it's also the main move. And during the game, I was thinking this position, which I know, was theory with the bishop on C1 and the rook on D8, which is not. And I was thinking the difference between Knight D5 is not whether I castle and play it, but whether I play bishop G5 and play it. So I convinced myself Knight D5 was the more common move here. Knight takes, pawn takes, C6, bishop C4. When in fact, that's never been played. What's played is bishop here, knight here, takes, bishop C4. So I'm accidentally playing the most common line, which I don't play, and I'm thinking that this is different than the bishop, than the main line, because the rook's not on D8 and bishop's not on C1. So I'm just crazy. Okay. Now, normally they take on D5, as in the game played last month between Wesley So and Lenier Dominguez in a rapid tournament, which Wesley won with white. He played B5, which is more interesting. And after the game, he told me this is old theory. And I said, just my luck. Old theory against the only guy in the tournament older than me. And then he laughed. So you can play A3 or A4. I followed my rule and played A4. He said with the rook on E8, you should play A4. And if they take it, bishop takes pins the C pawn. With the rook on F8, you should play A3. Now this is strategical thinking that the engine doesn't agree with. The engine just says A3 and A4 are both equal. Okay, so I played A4. And I have to take with the rook, which is fine. I can take with the bishop. It's still possible. And this is still equal to. Knight D7 is good. He wants to play Knight C5, which is annoying. Mm-hmm. So I played bishop E3, and he played bishop E7. And this is all fine. This is all good. And then I played D6, which is also fine. And if you have a good engine, it just says equal, 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 equal. Everybody's playing great. And it's an endgame with no queens. And I'm playing Shabalov, so I'm pretty happy. I have an equal position. During the game, I thought maybe I was better, but I'm not. And I'm playing a guy who likes to checkmate and attack and sacrifice. And I like boring endgames. And this is, so I'm pretty happy at the board right now. He played C5, which is excellent. He played excellent this game. And is this where I made my first mistake? Yeah. I made my first mistake here. Here I should castle and try to play rook fa1 as quickly as possible and take the a pawn. But I wasted time with knight d2. The reason I played knight d2 is obvious. He's going to play bishop c6, attacking my rook. And then if my rook moves vertically, I lose my e4 pawn. Well, I defended my e4 pawn. I don't want my knight on f3. I want to go to c4. And I want to defend my bishop and my pawn. So to me, knight d2 is just obvious. And the engine says I'm slightly worse now. It doesn't want me to play knight d2. Okay, he played bishop there. I played rook a2. And when I say slightly worse, it's still equal. Okay, and he played a4. Now I made a bad move. Although this engine says my move is correct. I think bishop c4. Okay, well, bishop c2 is equal, so I'm not going to complain. Okay, and now I made a bad move for sure. I need to get my rook off of h1, and so I should play king e2. And I could also play f3 and king e2 or f3 and king f2, but I castled, which is a mistake. And now, even though engines say it's still a draw, now I'm fighting for a draw, and I didn't see the right way to fight. Now it says he's slightly better, which is, in practical play, he's much better. Played bishop f8. Every move he played was really accurate.
Wait,
now I'm losing a pawn, Karen.
What was wrong with castling?
Well, my king should be on e2 for the endgame, so my pieces are defended.
Oh, for the endgame. Okay.
Yeah, I want my king on g1. Okay. Now I made another bad move. Or no, this move is okay, I think. Rook here, yeah. And then I played f3, which is probably a mistake, but maybe it's not. And now he played c4. And I think and I'm probably lost at that point. Yeah, here I have to play super accurately to not be lost. And I think this engine's not good enough. But here's what I missed. Okay, when I played rook fa1 and he played rook b4, I want to play b3 because his a pawn is pinned, but after takes, rook takes, my bishop is attacked on c2. So the engine is suggesting I could play bishop d1 here, and then if he takes my quote-unquote free pawn, then I can play b3. He can't take because my bishop's not attacked, and this is hanging with check. So bishop d1, bishop takes d6 question mark, b3, and I have no problem. He can't take my pawn. I'm getting my pawn back, and the engine says it's about equal. Also, I think I can play b3 here, and I got confused. I mean, if I could play b3 here and I don't lose, I would have played b3 here. Okay, I should have played b3. And the idea is if he takes, and I take, and he takes, I don't take his bishop, I play knight takes, and then after bishop takes, because my bishop is overworked, it doesn't matter. Because I have this passed pawn, I can defend it, I can attack his knight, I have the two bishops. And during the game, I thought this was bad for me, and the engine says it's just completely equal, just a dead draw. If I knew I could play b3 and the engine said it was good, I would have played b3. Because I'm going to lose this pawn eventually. I got to win this pawn. This pawn's attacked a million times and it's pinned. b3 is the way to win it. But I thought b3 takes was good for him, and I didn't see bishop d1 to play b3. I didn't see that idea. So I played f3 defending my pawn, because it's going to get attacked a lot. And now he played a really good move. It was really explosive. Now, if I play b3 in some of those variations we were looking at, where he's taking and then my pawn's hanging, now my pawn's not hanging because I played this. So now after bishop takes d6, I'm definitely playing b3, because not only is this pawn defended, if he takes, I take with check. This is very important. He can't take, he just loses.
Right.
I'm just winning a piece here. Now I win. Because it's check. So I thought, incorrectly as usual, he might play king g7 to prevent me from playing b3. But he played a much better move, much better move, and it's explosive.
All right, c4.
Yeah. After c4, I think I'm losing with best play. However, the engine has some crazy line that only a computer would see. It's like rook c1 and then bishop d3, because this is pinned. So rook c1's my best move, but I didn't seriously consider that. Now if I can't win this pawn, and I'm definitely losing this pawn, I'm just down a pawn and I'm losing. Okay, so I put my knight on c3, and he attacked my bishop, and he defended his pawn. So this is funny. I can't move here, and I was hoping he can't move here, so it's a draw. I'm down a pawn,
Excuse me.
bless you, but he has all of his pieces defending a4. That's nothing to sneeze at. He's got a big bind.
Yeah.
But it's not true. Okay, I defended. And finally he did something. I didn't want his knight to go to d4, so I took his knight. And I'm still down a pawn, of course. Knight d5 is a bad move in time trouble. Rook d2 is a bad move in time trouble. Now he played the excellent f5. And when I take, he plays bishop f3 check. I can't take his bishop because he takes my rook. So I have to play king e1.
Yeah.
And then he played an excellent move here. It was move 40, time control. And then I had to resign. Played bishop e4. So the point of bishop e4 is he wants to play rook takes rook and a3. For example, let's say I take this pawn.
Yeah.
He takes my rook and plays a3. I can't let him play a2 and a1.
Right.
And now you see why he played bishop e4.
Yeah.
However, if I stop that, well, I'm not sure how to stop it, then he takes my pawn on f5 and he's up 2 pawns for nothing. And if you look at the engine, it says he's up 7.5.
Yeah.
Yes, after bishop
Okay.
e4, that was the time control. I thought a few minutes and resigned. Boo. Bishop e4. Oh, yeah, delete.
Goodness, I'm still sick.
b2.
Let me check in with Karen real quick.
Yeah, so this was the final position. After the game, I said, man, you played great. He was like, eh.
Something happened. Oh, a raid.
Thanks, Jude, for the raid. So that game, I made like 4 or 5 imperceptible mistakes, imperceptible to me. And I went from equal to slightly worse to clearly worse to lost, which usually isn't going to happen in a queenless endgame. You know, that's what I'm good at. But I was way worse than him in that endgame. He played a lot better than I did. Mm-hmm. Terrible.
Thank you, Hobble-Roni.
I got totally outplayed in that endgame. What's funny is I can't play chess anymore. Like, I'm terrible, but I still only lose 1 game a tournament, or 0. But still terrible. Like World Open last year, I lost 1 game. Foxwoods, I lost 1. Oh, no, World Open, did I lose 2 games? Foxwoods, I lost 1 game. Also, I lost 0 games. This one, I lost 1 game. But it's, I mean, I draw a lot of like low-rated players because I suck.
I better do better next week. I gotta feel better.
Thanks for the raid, and thanks Hobble-Roni. Hopefully it's vegan Hobble-Roni.